Hello, everybody, and welcome to the newest indoor adventure in Ghosts of Saltmarsh, Tammeraut's Fate Part... Is this Part 4? I think this is Part 4. I'm pretty sure this is Part 4. Today is January 16th, 2020, and you are loved. That is a very important thing that we like to say at the beginning of each and every single one of our sessions because we truly mean it. If this is your first time tuning in, consider going to youtube.com/indooradventures, where we post all of our VODs. We also have VODs go up wherever audio casts can be found, except for Podbean, because we have moved away from there as a listening platform. There just wasn't enough viewership equal to the amount of investment that was required, so we're scrapping it. If people make public outcry enough for it, we'll come back, but until then, toodles. Other than that, we also have our merch store back up, so you can go to indooradventure.redbubble.com and get yourself all sorts of wonderful things. We got ham pants, we got Hint of Fae mugs, we got Moon Maidens shower curtains, we got all sorts of stuff, including throw pillows, socks, what have you. There's all sorts of things up there, so consider checking that out. Other things to check out. Right now, we have a giveaway going on to celebrate the fact that we hit 420 followers. Blaze it. That's why we are doing, specifically, I'm calling it the Blaze It Bundle, because one lucky winner will receive the Tyranny of Dragons Collector's Edition book, which is the Hoard of the Dragon Queen and the Rise of Tiamat as a singular collected adventure that has erratas and edits in it, so it's actually, I would say it's better than the initial two books that they tried to make you purchase at the beginning of 5e. And the other thing that you can also get is this splendiferous collector's edition of the Descent into Avernus book, which has an amazing mosaic picture of Zariel on the background, as well as the dice that come with it. So one lucky winner will get that, the other will get the Tyranny of Dragons. You're in for a good time. All you got to do is just follow on Twitter, follow us on Twitch, visit us on YouTube, tell us who your favorite game is, that sort of thing, and that will help you get entered into the contest. So, consider doing that, viewer. Other than that, okay, we did contests, merch, where you can find us. Oh, we have a Patreon set up. So if you go to patreon.com/indooradventures, you can help support the show and continue making this a self-sustaining podcast, which I think is awfully righteous. So with that in mind, let's kick things off for the evening. Hey, Dingo, who you playing tonight?
I'm Dingo, she, her, and I am playing Hish Sungard, half-orc fighter, he, him.
Howdy, I am Reeves, and I will be playing Ulman Dark and Ham. Use he, him, or they, them.
Hi! I'm Cyber, he, him. I play Albus, the Simic Hybrid Sorcerer, he, him.
Hi everyone, I'm back again. I'm KyleWithAnN, and I'm playing Jilfa'en Lyrandar, the half-elf cleric.
And I am the indoor adventurer, he, him, and tonight I shall be your dungeon master. So, last we left off, KyleWithAnN was unavailable to play because of the sickies, so we got to kind of autopilot Jill for a little bit, but upon, with the recap, upon having come back from the Holiday Nexus, the three of you who were there ended up having a brief discussion about your interactions. Albus, you rightfully despised Santar for not letting you join in all of these here reindeer games, but that was neither here nor there. Eventually, you guys made it back to town where, Hish, you had to have a rough conversation with your ex-partner Talia about the state of what is going on with Team Salt Bay, as the four of you had been fired from Acquisitions Incorporated. Upon your discussion with Talia, you convinced her to come along with you on your ship, Oliver's Triumph, with your son, Oliver, For the next foreseeable futures, you are no longer allowed in town. After hearing about this, Gellin Primewater, your once contact and loyal friend, decided that they were going to at least send you off with a crew, so that way it wasn't just the small group of you trying to man this rather large ship. The next day, these crew members met with you and were able to successfully get you boarded, which was rad. You guys also began to discuss the events involving Skofka, the aboleth that Albus, you have been chasing after for quite some time, it would appear. And you all found out that the aboleth itself is currently in a town called Moran. Jill, this revelation hit you rather hard, as Moran is your hometown, so knowing that there is an aboleth, a creature like Albus, although you're assuming that if Albus is chasing them down, they are not going to be nearly as nice or kind as Albus has been, and nice and kind are very loaded statements with an aboleth, but he's been pleasant enough. You're assuming that Skofka is not going to be this case. So you found out that Skofka was there, and after this conversation had been had, you retreated back into your back to your chambers, as there was nothing for you to do to prep for leaving. Ever since you guys had acquired this ship, you had always made a point of just sleeping here with all of your possessions. So, well, you're here now. Other than that, you guys found out that Acquisitions Incorporated had maintained control over your likenesses for the purpose of merchandising, and before heading out, Albus, you were able to move all 217 small chul and one larger chul into the bilge of Oliver's Triumph, much to Hish's chagrin. However, that was the easiest outcome for what to do. And the following morning, you guys were handed over control and, in a way, ownership of Ulman's daughter, a changeling assassin who has yet to reveal their name. You then sailed north for about 8 days or so and are making your way to the village of Lethlung, the last known resting place of Albus of Lecroix, before you were going to be coming to an eventual stop there to offload all of these chul. During the meantime, Hish, you and Ulman took turns speaking with this changeling child, and that is where we are going to pick up. So, let us pass to Jill. Is there anything that you would like to have done during this time on aboard the ship, other than just getting to know your new crewmen and filling out paperwork at the behest of what appeared to be a lanky black dragonborn that you later found out was called an Abishai?
So has everyone given their gifts yet?
No one has given their gifts yet. We waited so that way you could be here.
Oh. Well, yes, I do want to exchange gifts at some point, because I came up with my gifts. But other than that, I think Jill's just like kind of busying herself with like paperwork and helping around the ship, and oh, I know what she's doing. She is writing a letter to her mother, Faerora, just letting her know her intentions to come home, and, you know, just kind of give her some advance warning. And if I still can use my documancy satchel because of Arjan, then I would like to mail it through that, but if not, meh.
Yeah, you can send it through Arjan's mail channels. They might not be as extensive as Acquisitions Incorporated's are here in Faerun. However, it's still better than mailing it standard. At this point, the quickest route to getting that letter would have just been holding on to it and hand delivering it yourself. But thankfully, devils work in mysterious ways.
Yeah, so that's pretty much been what Jill's been up to.
Okay. Sounds good. So then let's kick it with Hish. You have just got done having tried to perform a mild interrogation, a little bit of an investigation, as it were, into Ulman's daughter. To no avail. They seemed, instead of divulging anything important, rather spent the time just picking at threads upon you, trying to get you upset or trying to divert attention from themselves, as it were. So we are going to have you be exiting out of the you guys have been keeping them like in the food store's kitchen area, as you don't really have like a hold for prisoners. That was never really your thing. And Albus, you see that Hish is kind of coming out looking a little frustrated, having just gotten done talking with your prisoner.
Is everything all right, Hish?
Everything's fine. Our guess is just a little, I would say rude, but I haven't been exactly polite myself, so it's just a frustrating conversation.
We've been keeping her in the kitchens.
Yeah. Normally I would do the bilge or something like that, but it's full of crabs, so no real other place to put her.
Right.
But she's in there if you want to talk to her. Not a fan of you. So just be warned.
All right. I was planning to go get some food, but
I mean, just watch your back, probably.
Thank you, Hish.
She kind of knows about the whole. And he kind of gestures to the entirety of Albus.
Well, I mean, it's fairly obvious now.
Yeah, not exactly subtle. And I think he just kind of gives you a nod and says, anyway, if you get stabbed, don't say I didn't warn you. And he, I think, moves past Albus and heads up to the deck.
And I go in.
Okay. So, Albus, when you come into the chamber, you see that this figure has grayish white skin, white eyes, pupilless, long white hair, and they are wearing what appears to be very darkly colored robes, and they are looking out of the window, just watching as the sea sort of passes by. And as you come into the room, you see them shoot you a side glance and sort of smirk to themselves. And then they just go back to looking out the window.
I would ask if you're enjoying the view, but I'm not sure if there's much scenery.
We're going north.
We are.
Why? I thought your plan was to go south.
That is our plan.
The last several days of travel don't exactly lead me to believe that you're being honest.
We're taking a detour.
Pretty sizable detour.
I would like to just to start off, use 2 sorcery points to cast Detect Thoughts.
Okay. And the sorcery points are for...
I can do it without components.
Okay, subtle spell. Right?
Psionic spellcasting.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so you end up casting Detect Thoughts. And the base level thoughts that you get from this individual are roughly what has been said. Is just curious as to why you're going north.
So, what's your name?
And they look at you. Why would I tell you that? What reason would I have to divulge my name unto you?
Sorry, I guess I was just curious about the person that I got fired trying to save.
I didn't need you to save me.
You could have fooled me.
What was your reason? You seemed like you were following Omendron's plan perfectly until the final moment. So why did you feel it necessary to save me?
Because I realized that it wouldn't be fair to my friends to just kill you.
I don't believe you.
You don't have to believe me, it's the truth.
And they just sort of, with a huff, continue to look out the window. And from your base level of Detect Thoughts, you only see a symbol. And it is a triangle that has a 3 skulled faces that are all wearing
the
dark
Shadow
robes.
Council.
Yeah, it's just the symbol of the Shadow Council that you're receiving back.
Now, I wasn't there for a lot of this, but why were you trying to kill your father?
Because it's what he deserves.
For
running. For always running. Even when he had the opportunity to come back, he chose to go south instead of look towards anywhere where we once were. He's a coward.
I'm not sure if you know the same man that I do.
Cowardly man who hides behind a monster in sheep's wool.
Oh, you have him definitely mistaken. I was hiding behind him.
Albus, I have a question for you.
What is the question? Detect thoughts.
The question that is being belayed unto you is the Detect Thoughts is a for what purpose?
Like, I just want to answer
No,
the
that
question
is
before...
like mentally that is what you get from them is the question for what purpose. And she says to you, what is it you want? Nobody does anything unless they feel like they can get something out of it in the end. So what is it that you want, Albus? What is it that a terror of the deep has grown 2 legs and walks amongst us?
Is it fair for me to answer one of your questions whenever you've been dodging all of mine?
And they look at you. Jodariel.
Jodariel.
There, I've answered one of your questions. Now answer mine.
What I want is to take care of a problem that I was sent here to dispose of. That's why I want to head south.
You're not heading south.
Is there another question that you would like to ask?
None from you.
We're heading north because I need to drop something off there.
And they seem all right with that answer.
Now I'm going to ask you another question, and it's one that I try to find the answer out about everyone. What do you want, and what would make you happy?
What I want is my freedom. What would make me happy is seeing my blade hilt deep in Omendron's back.
And I'm going to probe deeper with detect thoughts.
Okay. So they make a wisdom save, correct?
I believe it's an intelligence check, or save, but let me triply check that. It is a wisdom save, DC 17.
Okay. So let's see. They fail.
I gain insight into its reasoning, if any, its emotional state, and something that looms large in its mind, such as something it worries over, loves, or hates.
So its base thought is rather jarring for you as you gain the surface layer, or you gain the thoughts of the many escape plans that Jodariel is currently going through the process of figuring out, most of which involve grabbing a sharp object from a nearby drawer, jamming it into your neck, disguising herself as you, and then just jumping off the side of the boat. Most of the escape options are that way. Other thoughts that you get from this are the phrase "remember your training" that seems to repeat itself on loop. And then the thing that harbors the most is that you see what looks like a scared girl with off-paper white skin, pupilless white eyes, and white hair in a dark room by themselves, and the voice of an older woman basically telling this child that the reason why everything bad that is happening to them is because of her father.
And she also does know that I've been probing into her mind.
Okay.
I wouldn't try any of those. I'm sure your father intends to release you once we're away from Saltmarsh.
And she just squints her eyes looking directly at you, and you can see that there is an ocean of contempt behind her eyes.
I'm going to grab a snack and head out.
Okay.
To Ulman's room.
Okay. So yeah, you head to Ulman's room. Ulman, it is you and Bims just sort of hanging out in your general room. If you would like, and if, of course, if Hish allows this, you could try and be learning how to, basically learning your letters with Ollie. You already know them as Ulman, but you are trying to teach Ham and Ollie how to write.
Mm-hmm. Gotta get that basic arithmetic and spelling down, you know?
All right, so Albus, you walk in and you see a little tiefling child with some parchment trying to write their own name. And it seems like their penmanship is much better than Ham's is. Ham is used to just seeing symbols on paper and thinking, this be words. Yeah.
I'm sorry to interrupt, Ulman. Can
Oh.
we talk?
Yes, of course. Ollie, why don't you go back up deck for a bit? We'll
Ollie,
come grab you when it's time to resume lessons, or take the rest of the day off.
Ollie has a huge grin when you tell him to take the rest of the day off. He's super happy. Writing is boring and stupid, and that's why Jill's his least favorite. So he runs off.
And we're gonna have this conversation telepathically because I'm not comfortable with anybody overhearing it. I've talked with your daughter, Judario.
Oh. You got her name out of her, thank you.
What do you intend to do with her?
I mean, I thought I made it clear that she was welcome to leave whenever she wished. I just assumed she wouldn't want to, jump out into the ocean with no land in sight.
She seemed very convinced that her only way out was to stab me and take my place. That was running through her mind a lot. I'm sorry. This situation is weird, isn't it?
What do you mean?
Like, your daughter, your wife's well-being. That was very important to you, and now I don't imagine this is making you very happy.
It's tough, to be sure. I am overjoyed to see her, to learn her name, but she has a very set idea of who I am, and the things she says aren't entirely wrong, at least in her experiences interacting with us directly. There are times that I could have been better, but it's not the full picture, and I'm more confident in myself than that. I don't know if I can convince her otherwise.
Ulman, none of the things that she told me about you, I believe are true. I hope whatever idea of yourself she's tried to impart on you, I hope you don't believe it.
Honestly, the thing that got to me was the bullying of Viare, which I rightly feel bad for, and I should have stuck up for him a bit more, but everything else she knows is wrong, I think.
Are you okay?
I don't know where I'm at, but I'm working through it.
Okay.
Thank you for checking in.
Good night, Ulman.
Night.
And now I'm going to go to sleep with the crabs.
Yeah, sleep with the crabos. Okay, so sleeping with crabs. Hish, did you have any plans for the remainder of your evening upon the ship? The day after you speak with Jodariel?
No. He's just going to arrange his new figurines on his desk in his office. And that's it.
Okay. Sounds good. And then, Ulman, is there anything that you would like to do?
I think I'm gonna go back in and talk with my daughter one more time.
Okay.
I think I pop in and start like preparing some tea for myself and sit down at the table where she's at. You know, well, some of the things you've accused me of do ring true. I think you're missing a lot. And I don't want to sit here and brag about myself because that feels hollow. But I want to know what you've been told about me.
And she looks at you and says, "They are good for nothing."
And what exactly is good for nothing?
You left a pregnant woman so you could become a bard in the city.
Yes. I made a mistake. And I left in a heat after an argument with my things. Had I slept at the base of a tree, I would have woken up in the morning with a cooler head. I would have realized what an idiot I was, and I would have been back home. But I did not receive that chance. I received no chances. In fact, your grandmother met me in the forest shortly after I left, and she told me she expected this of me, said I was nothing more than a tool, and turned me into a hunting knife. There I sat for 60, 80 years. I don't know, it's hard to count when you're just sitting there. How was I supposed to come back?
It would have been better if you didn't.
Well,
No one asked you to.
according to you, I didn't. You came and found me. According to you, I was never going to find you. So, what is it? Should I never have come back, or should you have never come found me?
You should have never come back.
You're wrong.
That's what it should have been. You should have stayed in the woods and let moss and dirt cover you until you became a forgotten song.
No. No one deserves that.
You do. And she just sits back and glares at you.
I don't know if I can change your mind, because it seems pretty set to me. But I'm not going to stop trying. You're not a prisoner here, I hope you know. I thought I made that clear earlier. You're free to go whenever you wish. I just figured you wouldn't want to leap over the side into the open ocean and swim for days. I just hope that maybe you would stay on this ship for a while and get to know the real me. Not the one presented to you by other people, or the one observed while under the guise of someone you're not. But you, as my daughter, with me as Ulman. And at that, he shifts to how Ulman looks. A man with a kind of short, round, short, pointed jaw, big nose, kind of rustly brown hair, medium-sized ears, kind of a rough worker of the woods type look. I was good for any job. People knew they could count on me. The dark name is the one I carry with pride. And I want you to know you can count on me. And I will do whatever it takes to prove it.
And she just continues to look at you. Doesn't say anything.
Ulman leans back in his chair and sips at his tea. And he'll stay there all night.
She doesn't say anything. Just sits there in silence. Make a constitution check.
Okie dokie. 30-20.
Okay. So you manage to sort of will yourself to stay up throughout the evening. There is no nodding. You don't get any kind of sleepy. You're fine. Jill, as you are asleep this evening, there is a moment where you find yourself dreaming. And in this dream, you are at a place that you haven't been since you died. You are standing in a dark area that you can see what looks to be, from what you last remember, there were 12 chains that connected at this center point, but now you only see 11. And that was from the chain that you had broken the first time, that you let yourself really become engrossed with the book. And you see that the sky overhead is tinted red, and at the center of this there is just this ever-shifting fusion of color that all of these chains seem to lead into. And you, as you were looking at this, you hear the padding of feet on stone. And as you look over, you see Tharsden, well-dressed, kind of shaggy hair. And they look at you and say, "Well, have you thought any more about my offer? I assume that you have. It's relatively easy. All you have to do is break the chains." But I sense doubt in you, Jilfa'en. I really do, and so I wanted to assuage those doubts as best I can. I'm not trying to be a bad guy here.
And so, what then? You come to me, hat in hand. What?
Would you
what?
like that? I could have a hat. Could be a fancy
No,
one.
it's a favorite expression. You know, everyone says you're bad news.
Well, who says that?
I'm sure you're aware that, well, some of my companions aren't your biggest fan.
They put their hand over their chest. I'm wounded. After everything that I've done to help. Freeing you from inside of the prison you were in. Capturing that nasty individual who tried to kill Ulman. I have been nothing but kind. Helpful. And instead, all I am met with is doubt. And you see that they sort of like plop down onto the ground cross-legged, and then they extend their legs out, put their hands back, and are just sort of like wiggling their feet back and forth, kind of shaking their head.
I don't know what to think of you.
Well, that's not true at all. I've seen it. When you were in the prison, you wrote and asked me for help along the walls. And so I did. Because you've been very helpful, or at least were, with breaking the chains. Then you asked me again to help, and I embodied you in that moment. I could feel your strength and your doubts. When we were in the woods, there was that nasty man, Omendron, with all of his friends, and you reached out. So I responded. Then, once again, when you were trying to save the holidays, you asked for my help. And so I responded. Does that sound like something a bad guy would do? I've helped you. I saved the holidays with you. I stopped the nasty. Saved your friends. All of these are good deeds, Jilfa'en.
Everyone, well, people help people because they want something in return. It's always about what you can get from something. And I know what your aim is, and I know what it would bring about. And yes, perhaps for me and those I care about, they would be fine. You've said as much. But I just don't know what to think of you. You are apparently an all-powerful deity, and yet you present yourself like this, she says, just gesturing to him. You are baffling. Sometimes you're so clueless, and other times you're so powerful, and I can't make sense of that. I can't make sense of you and your motivations, and I don't know what to do with you.
And they stand up. and sort of dust the front of their pants off and say, "Is this form not pleasing to you?"
I mean, it's fine. I just. In the woods, when I asked for your help, because I thought we were getting ourselves into a situation we could not get out of, truth be told, I liked that feeling. I liked feeling powerful, and I liked the thought that I could help my friends in that situation, but then I just don't know. When everyone is telling me something is wrong, but yet at the same time it feels right, I just don't know.
You feel a hand on the small of your back. And Tharsden looks down at you and says, "You just have to believe." And he leans down to give you a smooch.
Oh no! Sexy Tharsden! You know I can't say no, he's hot!
So
I think she, oh boy. Okay,
Yeah.
no, you go.
So after this extended embrace that will continue for as long as Jill wills it to, Tharsden will pull back and then take several steps back and says, "I took this form because I felt that it would be pleasing to you, that it would make you more comfortable, that it would help assuade any concerns that you might have. To behold a god is, well, it can be difficult. So that is why we as the gods portray ourselves as more human-like." Does that make sense?
That part makes sense. Yes, that part does. Yep, that's about the only thing that makes sense in this moment.
And then Tharsden puts their hands behind their back and sort of like balances on the balls of their feet and then rests forward and just sort of rocks a little bit. Says, "If you want, if you're curious, I can show you what my true power looks like. Would that help make things easier for you?"
I suppose, since you're so keen, might as well.
Now, Jilfa'en, if I do this, I have but one request. And they walk up to you again, and they lean down and whisper into your ear, "All you need to do is write." And you hear you hear the sound of fluttering. Just, and where Tharsden was, there is nothing. And you look up towards where the chains meet, and lightning cracks along the skyline. And as it does, you see what looks like a heart. And this large heart that you see in front of you has a piton in it. It is this large, dark metal spike that seems to be jutting directly into this heart. And you can see that from where blood drips out of, it falls for an infinite amount of time in this moment. And as you watch it fall, you see this blood expand outward, and it almost seems like it is creating a ripple effect every time it drops down. And through each one of these ripples, you watch as a new layer of the infinite abyss is created through this bleeding heart. And from the lightning that cracks, you see shapes in the sky. And you have this moment of realization as you see what looks like a large white tooth on one side of your field of vision, and then another and another on the right and left side. You recall what Tharsden looked like for a brief moment back in Saltmarsh when you had told him not to eat people. It looked like a vacuumous maw that was ready to swallow everything whole. And that is what you see before you wake up. And when you awaken, you see that even though you did not place it there yourself, your black ledger is on your desk, and the dark iron pen is set delicately atop it.
Oh boy. I think she's gonna go to it and open it up and see if anything new is written there.
The only thing that is written that is new says, with the pen in your hand, no one needs to get hurt. These things can just happen. Break the chains as you would will them.
I think she's gonna look for a while and then I think she's gonna pick up the pen and kind of just turn it over in her hands a few times, and while looking at this paper, and she begins to write.
Okay.
About one of the pillars in the Tammeraut desert.
Okay. And what happens with this pillar?
Sorry. I'm just looking at Connor dying.
Come on, Kylan. You're about to make my hair fall out.
Fuck, how dare you? I think that, how do I do this? How much do I know about the Tammeraut desert?
Make a history check.
Okay. Listen, guys, there's many pillars left. It's fine. We'll be fine.
Indoor.
Yes.
Whenever we have a day left before Lethlung, let me know.
Okay.
18.
So, you know, as somebody who lived in a surprising amount of what happened in the Tammeraut desert, you know that there was a kingdom. Or not really a kingdom, more of an empire, known as Netheril. that was full of these insanely powerful and talented wizards. And through their efforts, they were able to create floating cities and wonders beyond all recognition. During this time, they ended up earning the ire of a group of creatures that once belonged to the Far Realms, and their existence began to drain the land of magic itself. The reason why the Tammeraut Desert exists and isn't the once lush pasture that it was several, at this point, almost 1,000 years ago, is because of these creatures from the Far Realms that drained all life from it, turning it into this desert. There are nomadic peoples that live throughout, but there is no group that specifically calls the Tammeraut Desert their home.
I think she would begin to write something along the lines of how one day this obsidian pillar that that marred this desert landscape would be sucked under these sweeping sands, disappearing, slowly sinking into the ground. And from its place, greenery would start to spring up. Flowers, maybe like an oasis. And where there was once desert there's life there again.
Okay. Make a wisdom check.
Oh boy. Big money, no whammies. That is an 18.
Okay. And we'll say that you can add your religion score to this overall check. So I'm guessing that would propel it to well over 20.
Yes, that would be +4.
Yes. So as you write about this Crux's destruction and how in its place an oasis was formed, as you put the finishing period onto this short story that you have crafted, you see a shimmer of this red energy kind of wave over the text that you have put down. And you see a follow-up entry in your journal as you hear the sound of metal ringlets snapping with this almost joyous sound. And the message says, "And no one got harmed. I told you it was easy. Just keep writing."
She'll write back. I'll make you see that all people matter, and all of them are worthy of being saved.
Okay. Sounds good. So, you guys are going to continue sailing for a little bit longer. Jill, you have been kind of reclusive during the majority of this trip. There's been a lot to process. You come out for food, but that is basically it. And you all know that at this point, you only have, I want to say, we'll say that we can fast forward until there's only a day left in the journey. So, Ulman.
Can I have explicitly spent that night not in silence, but rather just monologuing at her about, like, my whole life and experiences and views?
Back in my day.
If she's not going to talk to me, I'm just going to make her listen.
Make a performance check.
That's a natural 20 for a total of 24.
Okay. a little pop-up appears at the bottom of your screen that says Jodariel will remember this.
Oh, so that's your name.
Yeah, after you tell your tale, I think that she will actually just say Jodariel.
Thank you.
All right, Albus.
I'd like to go over to Jill's room.
Okay. So Jill, you hear a knocking at your door. You recognize it's the same knock pattern that Albus usually gives before entering in. And that it doesn't seem like it really has a pattern. It's more of a just like...
One moment, I'll let you in, Albus. And she'll go and open the door. Yes.
Would you have a moment to talk?
Yeah, it's fine. I'm mostly caught up on my paperwork.
And we're also going to have this conversation telepathically.
Of course.
We haven't really talked a lot since we died, I guess.
Things have been quite hectic since then, unfortunately.
Whenever I was, I guess, back home, I remembered something. And I tried to hold on to that for you. I know a way to release you from Umberly, from Tharston, from everybody.
Are you serious?
Yes.
You mean such a thing actually exists?
Yes.
Well, what is it?
Jill, have I given you a reason to trust me? Or to not trust me?
I don't think you've given me an explicit reason to distrust you, no?
The way that I can shield you from the gods is to actually shield you from the gods instead of you being in service to them. You let me stand in the way whenever I'm at my full power.
So, I'm not sure if I'm understanding this correctly. You can just go in and beat up the gods, I guess, and like physically shield me? Like, what are we saying here?
Whenever I'm restored, I can invest some of my power in you. And that's it. I can cut you off from all of the other gods who are trying to take advantage of you, if that is something you would want to do.
Surely there's a catch.
I don't think there is. I mean, that's how I can release you. Is to essentially take their place.
Let me make sure that I'm understanding correctly, Albus. So it's not to necessarily free me, but instead, you essentially become my, what's the word? Not quite a patron, I guess, not quite deity, my whatever.
I guess it does sound like that. It's just something to think about. But we are going to a place where someone lives that I already have that relationship with. If you want to talk, see what that is like.
So, it's never really freedom, huh? Well, what's the name?
Their name is Adrian. Adrian Lacroix.
All right. Suppose we could have a talk.
But of course, none of that really matters until we take down Skothka. I'm sure I won't be restored before then.
Right.
Are you... Is that something that you would help me with? Is that something you can?
Jill doesn't answer for a moment. And then she says, Skothka, you don't know what he happens to be doing.
No.
You suspect that it's not good.
I'm not going to pretend to have any idea what he's doing. But I know that he is one of my people that is dealing with things that we simply cannot exist with.
If he's putting my family in danger, then yes, of course, I don't want him there.
Even if he serves the same god.
Has Thurston ever told me anything about Skothka?
Tharsden doesn't seem to have mentioned it unless you would have asked specifically.
Oh, yeah, I guess I haven't. Um, I, I don't know if Skothga is one of his concerns, really. It's never mentioned him.
If you help me with this, if you help me get back to my power, if you want to be free from all of this, it's yours.
Well,
But again, you don't have to agree. You don't have to tell me anything now.
well, you've certainly given me a lot to consider. And I suppose I'll have a better answer for you when the time comes.
It's always good to talk to you, Jill.
Likewise.
And I'm gonna go.
All right. And as Albus is heading out, and Jill, you are left alone in your room to contemplate the future of this decision. That is where we are going to go into our break for the evening. So I would like to say thank you to everybody who's decided to stop by and join us for this wonderful excursion upon the sea. We are going to try and be back in 5 to 10 minutes, so don't go to a place unless it is to grab a food, grab a drink, grab a friend, or possibly go to indooradventure.redbubble.com. Pick yourself up something nice. And we'll see you guys shortly. All right, everybody. Bye-bye. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. We have appeared through a spray of sea breezy air once again to deliver our Ghost of Saltmarsh campaign. Saltmarsh, not Saltmash. Unto ye. So, last we left off, we have a day left in our travels before we arrive at Lethlung. Is there anything that you all would like to do?
I think Jill is going to finally come out of her bedroom on like the day before the trip. And you see that she has 3 decorative bags filled with some nice kind of like decorative paper-like material coming out of them. And they're sitting on the kitchen table as she's sitting there in the morning drinking her black coffee.
Okay. So, Jill has presented her holiday gifts. The rest of you also have your holiday gifts prepared outside of Albus.
I have crabs.
Would anyone like a crab?
Can I offer you a crab in this trying time? All right, so Jill has her gifts ready. Everyone is getting ready for team breakfast. And Albus, you see that everyone is putting decorative packages and boxes and whatnot up. Actually, so Jill, you have the decorative holiday bag. Ulman, how does Ulman and Ham wrap gifts? Because everybody has their own like gift wrapping shtick. So like, how does Ulman and Ham do it?
I think as soon as you set the bags on the table, like Ulman looks over his shoulder from cooking and like, there should be some wrap boxes in the corner of my room. Could you grab those? There should be 4 of them.
Certainly. She'll get up from the table and go into Ulman's room.
Okay. And you can see that Bims is eyeing you, like giving you quite a bit of distance, just eyeing you from afar.
You don't have to give me the stink eye. I'm just here for that. All right, well, that's fine. Then she'll go over and pick him up.
Okay. So you grab the prezzies, bring them back into the kitchen, and Hish, what does Hish's wrapping job for presents look like?
It's not great. He wraps his in like newspaper, like in the funnies, you know.
Oh yeah.
And it's you can tell like in some places he didn't account for how much paper he needed, so there's like, you know, an additional piece, and there's a lot of tape. It's not great.
Okay.
But they are in like pretty uniform like shapes.
Okay, and Albus, you have walked in for team breakfast and you see this small mountain of oddly shaped packages on the table.
Did we get mail? What's happening?
Well, apparently Jill and Hish had the same idea when I did when I was in Sigil, and picked up some things for their friends. We were, you know, saving the spirit of Christmas and all that, or well, the holidays. And
Whenever
so
the
it got me
centaur,
feeling festive, so I got some gifts.
whenever the centaur kidnapped you,
Essentially,
Requested
and forced you to
our
do his business.
aid. And, you know, I happen to think that the spirit of the holidays is a pretty decent thing to try to save. So, you know, I was down with it.
you know, if you don't want your gifts, Albus, we could just return them.
I don't know how you would.
It's a bluff.
Right.
Wait, we're just giving each other things.
Sort of. I mean, things we got because we thought of the person when we saw them.
I haven't gone to Sigil, so sorry, I don't have anything.
The spirit of the holidays is in the smile on a face after receiving a gift freely given.
I could always write up a contract if you want to return a gift in a timely manner. That was a joke. I'm sorry. That didn't come across the way I wanted to.
All right, so who
Okay.
is going to open a presento first?
I'll open a presento first.
All right, so you have your choice of either a gift from Ulman/Ham or a gift from Jill. Or Albus, if you have anything like any pocket lint that you feel would be acceptable during this time.
We're about to go to my hometown.
Okay. So Jill, or Hish, who are you opening it from?
I'll open Jill's first.
Okay. She'll say, careful now, it's a little fragile, so don't go crazy when you're opening the gift.
All right. Hish takes a very long time to delicately open.
You see inside a tankard made of, you know, like wood and like metal and stuff. And burned into the wood says, "World's best captain." And she'll say, "The mug's good for coffee, but sometimes you just need something a little more stout." And, mugs aren't the best receptacle, so, I thought it was appropriate.
Yeah, Hish has a big old grin on his face, and he says, "It's perfect. Thank you, Jill."
You're very welcome.
He sets it down next to his mug. He says, "Somebody else open."
Feel like my gift pales in comparison now, but no, you'll like it. I'll pull something open, and he reaches for what you set down.
Who, Hish?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, you can kind of see the shape of what it is when he hands it to you, and he says, it's not much, but here."
He delicately just undoes all of the tape very swiftly, and the paper just falls.
Mm-hmm.
Make a sleight of hand
catches
check.
it and... Okay, great. $15?
That's fine. There are a few spots where you tear the paper with the tape, but it can't be helped.
So close. What is it?
You see a very sort of you can tell it's sort of roughly carved, but still very intricately and beautifully carved large wooden spoon. And there's another little just plain box sort of taped to it. And Hish points to it and he goes, "It's self-stirring, so you can set it in a pot." And then...
Wow, this is a gorgeous spoon. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. And the little box, it's a multi-tool.
Ooh. And he pulls it off and unwraps it.
Is it just a fucking Leatherman?
Yep.
A tool and a multi-tool. Maybe we'll have more than half a brain cell now.
Well, maybe. You should probably practice with it first.
Of course.
All right, so you can add a multi-tool trinket. I'll say will act as
like a pocket knife, basically.
I'm trying to think what tool set. So we'll think about it later, because it can act as a carver's tool or it can be a lot of things.
A wine bottle opener. Really many things. I think during this time, Jill has scooted Ulman's present closer to her. And she's like, "Well, I'm going to open this now, unless anyone has any objections."
Please.
And she'll daintily open it up.
It's a small, neatly bound scroll holster, canister, tube made of leather, and inside there is a rolled up, very white sheet of parchment that says at the top it is the spell scroll of Create Spell Scroll.
Oh.
Well, then well, I thought it was interesting because when you cast the spell, it just creates another spell scroll of itself. And I thought of how much writing you do, and I always thought about how annoying it is to have to find scratch paper. So I thought you could use the scroll as scratch paper, and then when it's filled up, you just cast the spell, and you have a new fresh sheet.
I think Jill will laugh and be like, "This is a delightfully novel gift. Thank you, Ulman."
I'm glad you like it.
I think she'll write on it and then cast the spell.
And you watch as this paper just burns itself up from the casting of the spell. And then with a flash of magical energy, you just have the same piece of paper minus the writing that has been done to it.
Oh, that's so much fun.
And I guess Albus is going to take Hish's ball of bunnies
Yep.
and to start gingerly unwrapping it. Like, he's very unsure of himself.
Yeah. When he gets all of the paper off, you see that it is a sort of light blue glass float with like rope sort of around it and some rope sort of hanging off of it. And if you sort of tap it or touch it, it just glows just a little bit. And he says, I mean, it's like a float you put in the ocean. I sort of thought that, you know, you like to hang out in the ocean sometimes, and this way we can always find you if we need to.
Oh, that's very thoughtful.
There is also a plain little box. And he goes, also multi-tool.
Ooh, multi-tools for everyone.
The best dad.
Everyone
Like
needs a multi-tool. It's
It's
true.
like whenever you get all your kids a Swiss Army knife or just a hunting knife.
Yeah. Just a knife.
Everyone needs one.
Yeah.
Everyone needs a tool.
Who's next?
I think that brings us back to you, Hish.
Right. And he takes Ulman's gift. And can you remind me how it's packaged again? I didn't hear that.
It is a small rectangular package.
Okay. Yeah, he with he just very quickly like shucks it like corn. Doesn't have the same like delicate care that he took with Jill's, and he just shucks it off.
It is a deck of cards in a box that looks like it's kind of yellowing because it's old, but looks like your average deck of cards. When you pull them out, the illustrations are nice. They're hand painted on all the cards, and it looks like a regular deck of cards. And as you're looking at it, Ulman says, now start drawing cards.
Yeah, I think Hish kind of gives you a funny look, and he starts like he does like a quick shuffle, a pretty impressive shuffle, and then he starts drawing cards.
And you draw in order the King of Hearts, the King of Spades, the King of Clubs, the King of Diamonds, the King of Rats, the King of Bubblegum, the King of Typhoons, the King of Daggers, and every card you draw is a king. In increasingly strange suits.
Mm-hmm.
And you
Yeah.
receive the deck of mini kings.
Shut up.
That's so good. Yeah, he laughs as he keeps pulling them, and he goes, "This is spectacular," and he just keeps going to see how many kings he can possibly pull.
All 52 cards.
Yeah, he goes, "Thank you, Ulman. This is amazing."
I thought you would have fun with that.
Yeah, I think he's just as we're continuing, just sort of flipping through and sort of laughing at each like ridiculous card he pulls.
And they seem to shift every time you like shuffle them back up. The first four are always the standard suits, but like after that first time seeing the King of Bubblegum, you don't see the King of Bubblegum for quite some time. Like you go through at least several shuffles more before it finally pops back into the cycle.
Mm-hmm.
Well then. Jill, I suppose this gift is from you, so I'll get to it.
Okay. Also, out of character, let me know if you already have this so I can retcon it. But the package for Ulman's a little bit smaller, and as you pull it out, there's like a little satchel.
Ooh. What sort of satchel is this?
Do you open it up?
Sure.
It's empty.
I do have one of these.
Then never mind. That's not what you get. Because I don't want to give you a gift you already have. Instead, you get a cookbook from Sigil that is full of recipes from all across the planes and the multiverses. Just filled with weird, wild shit.
What is... Have you guys ever heard of nachos?
What?
Wait, not
And
yours?
Crab Supreme? Ooh, this is... Huh. I never thought about doing that.
What makes it supreme?
Oh, you
see that
You
there's a
grab,
tooltip
like-
in the right-hand side that explains like a little lore of why it's called a Supreme, and it is just the additional toppings.
You
It's
add
the sour
tomatoes
cream.
and sour cream.
the tomatoes and sour cream. Interesting. So the non-Supreme edition doesn't have that. Oh, that just seems empty.
Honestly,
This is amazing. Thank you.
I honestly don't understand it, but it seems like something you would like. I'm glad you enjoy it.
And Obed is just like fully immersed in flipping through it.
All right, Albus. Oh, I was gonna say, yeah, you have your next gift to pick from.
Jill's.
It's my turn, Indoor.
Right. Sorry.
Who's did I get it? I got Ulman's. Hish's.
Yeah, he pushes it closer to you.
Okay. She'll start to open it up.
Yeah, he when you open it up, he goes, I think Ulman and I had sort of similar ideas, and it's sort of a just a small, almost like envelope, sort of folded over, and when you open the envelope, there are stacks of paper inside, and they're sort of embellished around the edges, and at the top it says from the offices of Jilfa'en and Lyrander. And the little flourishes next to her name are sort of like just very subtly animated, so they just kind of go woo, woo.
Oh, Hish, you shouldn't have. This is really quite lovely.
I'm glad you like it, and there's also a plain rectangular box with it, and he goes, also not to spoil it, but multi-tool.
I'm sure I will find use for this. Thank you.
Yeah, he just nods.
Albus is gonna open Jill's.
Okay. Albus's package is also pretty small, and as you open it up, you see what appears to be like a compass and like a set of like those little like, they're not calipers, I don't think, or maybe that's what they're called.
I think that's also called a compass.
Oh, well, that and other things that you would use for the purposes of navigation, but it's made of like this kind of like deep blue metal, and all of the designs are kind of like tentacles And she's like, well, I remembered one day that you wanted me to show you how to do some navigating. So I thought, this might be helpful if you're still interested in that. So yeah, enjoy.
Thank you, Jill.
You're welcome.
All right, round 3.
I believe that just leaves 2 gifts here. Mine for you. And he glances over at Jodariel and slides a little present over. One for you if you want it.
I hope it's coal.
It's not coal.
Jill will write on her spell scroll, did you keep the receipt though?
Okay.
And push it over to Ulman.
Yeah, she's not gonna open it.
That's fair. I just looked at Albus.
I cast my spell scroll spell.
Oh, are you asking Albus to open the other one?
Yeah.
All right, he does.
It's a small lenses case. The glasses themselves have like thin silver wire frames and like round lenses that are not like framed in, but rather just held by the joint pieces. He explains, I was hoping I could find you something a little better than this, but I seem to have stumbled into more of a curio shop than a magic item shop like I had intended. So those are lesser, minor lenses of dark vision. They should help you see about 5 feet around you in the dark, which I thought was better than nothing.
Ah. Oh, okay. Great. That's very thoughtful.
Well, try them on.
He puts them on over 2 of his eyes.
Well, those look rather dashing.
You look like a professor now.
Yes, they're very smart.
And he just has like a little smile, but he's very unsure of what to do in this situation.
That's fair.
Well, that was fun.
Yes. I think I have some oatmeal I need to be stirring. And he grabs your spoon that you gave him and brings it over to the stove.
So
Yeah, Hish finds a bag and he starts collecting all the paper and making everyone give him their paper.
Best dad.
So, Ulman, you go over to the pot where you had been making your oatmeal. And back when it seemed convenient and Jill's powers were still fresh, you had actually purposefully broken your pot so she could cast a mending spell on it to have it always be slightly rotating.
It's very nice, but sometimes you have chunky things in there, and they don't rotate with the light broth you have, and you just need something a little more substantial.
Exactly. Exactly. And also, you know, that Tharsden's doing this. Hish gave you a spoon, and that's like...
Yeah, I could honestly
easily
throw out the Tharsden pot and have a normal pot. And
Well, that's not very nice.
World-class chefs need all the pots.
It's true. All right, so your gifts have all been freely exchanged on the morning before you find yourself at Lethlung. Is there anything else that you guys would like to do as you make your way towards this sleepy, foggy town? that looks like it's probably in Maine, but if it wasn't, it's in the Forgotten Realms.
I think the only thing Hish does is that he will give Ollie a gift as well. I think he gives him a training sword, much to Talia's probably chagrin. But it's like wooden and like foam. It's not like a real sword.
Yeah.
But it I mean, it's got like, it kind of matches his like light up shoes. It's got like the flames on the side, and it looks very cool.
It's sweet as hell.
It is sweet as hell, and it's just about as big as he is.
Okay.
Did you get Talia a gift?
I did. I think it's just, oh, and of course Ollie also gets a multi-tool. And I don't think he gives it to Talia directly. I think he just leaves it sort of on the bedside table by her side of the bed in his quarters. And it's just a little red box, and then a plain white box next to it. We know what that is. But in the red box, if she opens it, is a necklace with the first constellation she saw the night that Ollie was born. And I have jeweler's tools. So I like to think that at some point this year, probably way earlier, Hish made it himself. So it's not the prettiest, but it's kind of nice.
She understands. The only thing that Talia Talia doesn't actually say thank you at all, but you just see her start wearing it one day, and she has stayed quiet, which is odd for her throughout pretty much this entire voyage. And at one point, she actually came to you and said, Ollie says there are monsters down below? That he's not allowed to go into the bilge for what reason?
Because it's the bilge, Talia. There's not really monsters down there. I just don't want him down there and causing leaks and all of that.
And she nods and just says, all right, well, I just get worried. That Albus fellow is still just... It's even weirder than you described him. I thought you said that he looked like a regular person.
He used to look like a regular person. This is a new development.
Good. That's great. Like, she is just like not wanting to really talk about the current situation all that much.
Right. And he sort of says, but anyway, yeah, Albus, I mean, he's fine really once you get to know him, I guess. It's just one of those things where you don't bother him, he won't bother you. I'm sure it's fine.
She sort of like scrunches up her nose into a frown and just, I don't want to get to know him.
That's probably for the best.
And then at that, she will leave and just go back to doing what she has been doing. So you guys have exchanged gifts the morning of your arrival at Lethlung, and at this point, going through this kind of fog bank, you find yourself overlooking what looks to be and could be described as a sleepy fishing town. You see that there is a unimpressive dock that extends outward from the shoreline. You see that there are meager huts they're well made, but they're still meager. You don't see anything ostentatious about it. The cloud cover overhead is just a permanent shade of gray, almost like it could release a deluge of rain at any particular moment. And you see that there are fishing boats that are just sort of littered around the bay area where this dock is, and most of them are wearing these kind of dark gray hoods to keep whatever potential rain might befall upon them. And the people here are busy going about their days. And there seems to be something... I want to say make an insight check for everyone who isn't Albus. Because Albus, this is home to you. This is fine.
17?
Okay, 17.
11 plus 6, also 17.
10.
Okay, Jill, you've grown up in fishing towns. Like, you grew up in a fishing town as well. This doesn't really seem too out of place, other than is just sunnier. At least where Moran was, it was sunnier and warmer along the coast. But it still has the same kind of air as a fishing town. Ulman, you and Hish, the way that you're looking at these people and viewing them, it seems almost like their movements are predetermined. Like, there is just this slight missing air of humanity about the people who walk around here. Like, they go from one job to the next, but you don't see anybody, like, skipping. There are no songs. There's nothing that would particularly draw anyone's eye to the actions that is going on in this place. And to you two, that's strange. Having come from not only Saltmarsh, but also having traveled up and down the Sword Coast, this just seems odd, to say the least. And Albus, as you are coming in, you feel a sense of connection with an incredible amount of living souls within the city of Lethlung.
I would like to cast Sending.
Okay.
Adrian, it's Galito. Can you come to the docks? I've brought people that are friends.
And the message that you get back is, "Oh, happy day. It would be my pleasure to meet you on the docks. Any friend of Galitha is a friend of Lethlung." And Albus, not 20 minutes after you have cast this spell, the lot of you see that there is a well-dressed, for the town that you're currently in, you can tell that based off of their overall look, that they are probably the leader of this town, wearing a gray woolen overcoat, kind of a darker blue shirt underneath. Looks like they are definitely going for function over form on this. You know that they're warm, and that seems to be what they're going for at this point. Albus, what do they look like physically?
This man is about in his 30s. Has, like, his skin is like damaged to the point where, like, you feel like he's seen his fair share of sun, if it weren't for the fact that his skin was very pale, as if the fog has the opposite effect to his skin tone. Was immediately noticeable and a little unnerving about him is that he has a very close resemblance to Albus. or at least what Albus used to look like.
Huh. Are you,
And they're just like holding up a lantern to lead you all in.
Adrian.
My sire.
Everybody, this is Adrian, my friend.
And even with this damaged skin, they have a very nice smile.
If you don't want to get off the boat, that's fine.
I could have sworn you two were brothers.
No, not brothers necessarily, although he does look like my grandfather.
So
It's a pleasure to
I
meet you.
See. Yeah. Yes. Yes. Likewise. Yes. Yes. Pleasure.
Blessings upon all of you. Good tides. But I feel as though I have been rude. Can I offer you a nice ready meal? Any food? Any lodging? You must have been on this boat for quite some time. Would you like to stretch your legs?
I think we are needing to leave again soon, but I am not the one to speak for that.
Yes, we'll be leaving pretty soon. I've found what I've been looking for.
And they looked a little dejected when you said that you were going to be leaving soon. And the rest of you, this is very strange. You never really saw Albus emote a whole lot, but it seems like this facsimile of Albus is doing just that. And then when you say that you found it, their eyes brighten and look at you. Blessings. True blessings.
I will tell you all about it.
I eagerly await your words, sire.
God, what is it called now? She
Brain blast.
So much. Mind linky to Hish. When do you want me to get the crabs off? when do you want me to get the tool off?
I was sort of hoping that you had sort of figured out that whole situation. I suppose. Is it nighttime right now, Indoor?
It's about midday.
Okay.
There's
It's
just
really
about
hard.
the same amount of light.
Yeah, I mean, you know that it's during the daytime because there's a sun somewhere up there, but the fog is so heavy that, like, you could look at the flaming orb and just see, like, the coin of a sun.
Right.
But it wouldn't even really hurt your eyes all that much, which is surprising.
I think Hish, he sort of turns and looks at you as he's mind speaking, as he's thinking towards you, and he says, probably when everyone's asleep on the ship, that would be best.
If you would like everyone to get off the ship, get a meal, stretch their legs, maybe rest on solid ground for a night, I could get everything off the ship and nobody would be the wiser.
Hish thinks about it for a moment because he doesn't trust this place as far as he can throw it. But he thinks about it for a moment, and then he nods. Yeah. I'll advise everyone to vacate for the day.
Adrian, we have, how many people do we have?
On your ship, you have a crew of 7, not including your main friends.
Oh, I'll tell them the number of crew, other guests and everything that we have. Can you find a place to sleep, a meal, everything for them,
Oh,
make them comfortable.
yes, of course. The long haul should fit all of these needs. And Albus, you know that the long haul is just like it's a very long building that you know that like any kind of communal gathering will take place in. And as far as sleeping arrangements, they usually just roll out bed mats and push all of the chairs and tables aside as best they can.
Well, if you all follow Adrian, he will take care of all of you.
It would be my delight.
I promise nothing bad is going to happen to you here.
That's comforting. All right, I'll round everyone up. And I think Hish goes to escort the crew with Adrian to the long haul.
Okay.
Ulman goes to speak with Jodariel.
Okay.
Quick.
Yeah, this whole time Jill is just scrutinizing what's his name? Adrian. Just like looking him up and down.
Make an insight check, Jill.
Natural 20 for a 28.
All right. So, Cyber.
Mm-hmm.
What would Jill's insight of Adrian be? Like, what is his demeanor kind of expressed to her? As well as, like, she and Albus have talked, not necessarily at length, about things that happened in Lethlung, but she, I would assume, has the second best knowledge of Albus' backstory outside of Ulman having traveled with you for an extended period of time.
Yeah, just like his body language, everything, the way that he's addressing Albus, like it looks like he has a fanatical devotion to him and would definitely lay his life on the line for this fish dude.
Okay. Good to know. Good to know.
And a little bit more than that, like there's a trust there.
Got it. Back to Ulman.
Okay, and Ulman, you are going to speak with Jodariel, who still has not opened your gift. And is just looking out the window and just like trying to get a good idea of where you are now.
I walk in and so we've made port. We're in Lethlung now. We'll be here for a day, and then we'll be traveling south, basically the entirety of the Sword Coast. So you're welcome to get off, stretch your legs. You're welcome to depart here, but we're very far away from anything, I think. You're also welcome to pick out a room on the ship to stay in and request, a stop along the Sword Coast if you wish. We'll try to get you there. Or you can come all the way with us. It's your choice. But I'm going to go make sure everything goes smoothly on land. This place gives me the heebie-jeebies, and I don't want anyone hurt here. So better make sure it doesn't happen. And with that, he leaves.
And she just nods. And when you say that she can set out whenever she wishes, you see her, as you're leaving, she kind of ruffles around, finds a burlap bag, and just starts taking things from the kitchen to put into the bag. She's packing up. She's looking for some food.
I mean, I wouldn't see that because I just immediately left.
Okay. So you leave. And then back on mainland, let's see. Talia comes up to you, Hish, and she is holding Ollie's hand, and you see that she has like a pleasant customer service smile, like like waving to the people of Lethlung, and then makes her way up to you and just, I don't like it here. Like big smile on her face as she says this. This is kind of the worst.
I know. I don't like it either. We're not gonna be here for very long.
Why does that man look like Albus does? But like less fishy?
I really couldn't tell you.
Okay. And Ollie's just like eyes wide, like doesn't understand, like more. I would say for Ollie, like he doesn't get why it feels weird here.
But he knows it feels weird.
It feels weird.
Yeah.
Something's not right with this town.
That boy ain't right.
I think Hish sort of scoops him up and puts him on his shoulders as he's walking with Talia, and he just kind of leans over to her and he's like, I'm really, really sorry, but we won't be here long, and it'll be fine.
Okay. And she just sort of like takes a deep breath, takes the like necklace that you made her and just tucks it underneath her shirt just in case.
Right.
Like, show no valuables in this new strange and dangerous place. And you are all taken into the long hall. And once you are inside, this building is about 70 feet long and is roughly about 20 feet to the ceiling. But the majority of this building, above you anyways, you actually see bones. And it looks like hanging from a variety of wires and rope is the skeleton of a whale that is actually just hanging above the denizens of this long hall. And to alleviate questioning in the chat as well, long hall, Longhall. So it's just a long hallway. So yes, it is the long hall. And there is this large skeletal remains of a whale that seems to just be above your personage. Albus, you remember not only from Adrian, but also from the original Albus, that this was back when the Utgard, back when the barbarian tribes ruled the north, one of their like natural deities was this large whale-like creature that they had sort of given a name in their own native tongue to, which translated to common literally meant Mr. Whale, but you had never really thought too much about that. And so, but you know that when they saw you in your true form back as long ago as it has been, that they confused you for the second coming of this large creature. And as such, you have gained quite the fans within the village of Lethlung. But day ends up turning to early evening as you are all taken into this long hall, and they bestow upon you a variety of fresh fish. It seems like the daily catch here is always plentiful. It seems like they always have enough food to go around and feed others, regardless of the number of people here within the town. And they, you actually see that there is an orator. There's not necessarily a bard, but there is the equivalent of a public speaker in the form of Adrian, who is going to... He doesn't really seem to touch his food at all, but instead spends his time sort of telling you about all of the wonders that have happened in Lethlung for the last 20 years or so.
Is it like a sermon?
It's a little bit like a sermon.
Great.
And they talk about how before would they call you Galitha Ul? Albus, would they use that name, or what would they call you?
God. At one point, I
God?
No God!
How dare! How dare you! So at one point, I was gonna come up with this, and I was hoping that I would find a clever enough play on like Professor, or like the knowledgeable one or whatever. But I think they would just say the Guardian, or like the Protector, or something like that. Like something generic and vague.
Yeah. So
or just like, since we've become prosperous, or just like not even talking about something in particular, but just like the unspoken thing that happened.
With the arrival of the one that you know as Albus, that things turned around for the village of Lethlung. It seems like there was a stint where the fish runs ran dry, and there was just a real problem with actually being able to feed everyone here in this fishing village. There wasn't enough commerce coming in. They needed to be able to be self-sustaining, and the land around here doesn't give way to the growth of very nutritional vegetables. It seems like fish was one of the things that they needed in order to survive, and there was a period of time where that was like they were literally considering just abandoning this village, as not thinking that there was anything that they could really do with it. But then a figure came about. Their luck changed, and they began to see the second coming of, and they point towards the whale bones that hang above you and say, the second coming of the Guardian. And it was because of the Guardian that this village was able to become prosperous once again. Upon its arrival, fish became plentiful, the catches had never been easier, and the people thrived. And it is very much a savior-like allegory to what they attribute to Albus. But they always are respectful in the way that they describe it, in that it wasn't that they couldn't have been able to become prosperous themselves, but through the Guardian's arrival, their luck changed. And that was a thing that was so desperately needed in this village. And the tale ends with Adrian saying that they knew that the Guardian was watching over them when he saw the visage of his grandfather emerge from the salt.
While all of that is going on, Albus did not join you. He went back to the boat to get Hayatel and all of his crabs, all of his little proto-jewel. And sometime, probably while he's talking, he'll send to Adrian again and say, can you meet me at the he's telling him to meet him at the grotto whenever he's done with everything else, essentially calling a town meeting.
Okay.
But like a real town meeting, not like the cover town meeting.
Sure. So, as
um,
you are making your way to the ship, you see that there is a figure who is leaving the ship. And it is that of Jodariel. And you see that they have a bindle that has been kind of like on a stick that they have over their shoulder. And they are looking along the coast, and they just begin walking in a direction.
Leaving so soon.
And they stop and turn to look at you and say, I was told I could leave whenever I wanted, so I'm doing so.
Lethlung is an island, right?
I had always assumed that Lethlung was just a little sleeping village or a sleepy fishing town along the coast.
That's cool too.
And she says, I've had enough of being on a boat. I've had enough of having people constantly tell me things about themselves and about how I should act better.
Would you like me to tell your father that you've left?
He'll know.
Would you like me to tell him that you said goodbye?
No.
Very well.
If anything, you can tell him this. Maybe grandmother was wrong about him, but I'm still going to kill Omendron.
And I wish you the best of luck with that.
And at that, you see that she turns on a heel and begins walking away. And she turns on a heel in a very Ulman fashion. Like, there is definitely something familial in the body pattern.
Right. I go back to the ship and I collect my tool.
Okay.
We're back where I once made a home. At the place where I would like to return once I'm done with everything. You'll be safe here.
And Hayatel looks towards you with their old jewel eyes and says, will we be threats here?
No.
Would you like for us to dig you another tunnel? Another home beneath the waves?
Come with me.
And
he'll
just begins to follow.
Yeah, and he'll lead them. He's gonna go into not the long hall, but every house here that one of the fishermen has a basement, and every basement leads into a series of underground tunnels that all eventually lead into this grotto, where there's this glow of like teal, blue-green gems that just pulse with energy. And in this like pool of water, you just see the shattered hull of a whaling ship. And this was Galithol's home. And this is going to be their home.
They are more than gracious. They in the only way that Chul can, they express their thanks.
And
That it is just a solitary bow.
Were there other Chul and also scum?
There,
Like I feel like if they were here, they would be here in the
other
like, in the
Chul are
caves.
here. As far as scum, the scum come here to rest, but they actually do a decent amount of fishing for the village, as their more cephalopod lower half makes it easy for them to squiddle through the waves.
Okay. Yeah, and in the time that he has before Adrian comes in, possibly with the rest of the town, he is going to go towards one of these crystals and extract a piece of it, and he's going to go towards the shattered hull of the ship and take something from it, or take two things from it.
Okay. So as all of this is happening and Adrian's story comes to a close, Hish, you, Jill, and Ulman recognize that Albus has not been at this meeting the entire time. And it seems like Talia has also taken note of this as well, and it makes her uneasy. And then once this speech effectively has finished, Adrian will then excuse himself and say that if anyone needs anything, he actually leaves what looks like a horn and lets them know, just blow into the horn, and he will be with you shortly.
I want to try and cut him off before he leaves.
Okay.
Like, just kind of bump into him and be like, "Oh, sorry,
Oh, sorry, Jilfa'en. My apologies.
I know that you were on your way out, but I would like to speak with you. It's rather important."
And you can see that there is this look of utter conflict as he has been called for a town meeting via Albus, and now somebody wants to talk to him. So like you can tell that he's a little preoccupied. But what seems to be the matter? Was the food not to your liking? We can find fresher fish for you.
She'll lower her voice and say, "The one that I believe you refer to as the Guardian wanted me to speak with you."
Oh. They put a hand over their chest, just... Well, of course. Would you like to speak in somewhere more private?
Yes, actually.
Here, follow me. And Adrian will lead Jill towards his house. And you guys can talk to him along the way or upon reaching the house. And Jill, as you're making your way through the city, it seems like every resident of this city is simultaneously also going to their house. It's like a little staggered. Like, it's not everybody opens the door at the same time, shuts the door at the same time, but you can tell that there is a sense of purpose that has spread throughout the city.
She doesn't say anything along the way, and she'll wait until they're back at his house.
And once you are, Adrian will close the door. Can I interest you in some tea? Any saltwater candies? Is there anything that I could possibly help with?
No, thank you. The meal itself was more than enough for me. Is it all right if we sit?
Oh, of course. Make yourself at home.
And she'll take a seat somewhere, and will say, I've been offered an opportunity that I have been told is similar to your experience. So I wanted to get your perspective on the matter.
You have been offered a great boon. Truly a blessing. The Guardian, they have offered you protection and good fishing as well?
In a sense, yes.
Well, what? Have you not taken it?
Well, he said I should speak with you before I make up my mind. So I wanted to hear about your experiences and what your life is like.
Well,
since you've accepted this boon.
Since I have accepted this boon, I have found myself as the leader of our village. Ever since the Guardian's arrival, we thrive. Everything is better here. There's no fighting, there's no discourse. All of the merchants trade fairly. Everyone has a part, and we do that part gladly. Does this not sound wonderful to you?
Do you...
Knowing that you can rest and wake up, and there will not be some bandit looming over you demanding money.
Well, that does sound rather nice, but tell me, is there anything that you do in exchange as recompense for this blessing?
What do you mean exchange? We have never done, well, anything other than sing praise.
Jill's gonna cast Zone of Truth.
Okay.
Which is a Charisma 16 save.
They rolled an 18 on the die, so the spell goes off and they just look at you with the same large grin.
Motherfucker.
There's no need for magic here. I speak truthfully here.
But then let me ask you this. Are you truly free?
And they think. I'm not sure I understand your question. I am free to do as I wish, and my wish is to serve the Guardian. Is that not freedom?
What if you didn't wish to do that?
Why would I ever do that?
What if... Stick with me here. What if you wanted to do something else? Anything else? Go anywhere else? Do you feel like you could do that?
With the Guardian's blessing, of course I could.
Do you feel as though you are bound to your Guardian?
In a sense.
Chained, perhaps?
Are you familiar with otters, Jilfa'en?
Yes.
So you know that when otters are together, that they stay together for life.
Mm-hmm.
They are mutual partners. Now, when an otter is at sea, and they go to sleep. They find another otter, and they hold on to them so that way neither of them will be lost throughout the night, and they'll always have each other. Would you describe that as being chained?
But what if one otter wants to go one way and the other otter wants to go another? Would the otter that wants to go on one path hold so tightly to the other that they could not go where they wish to go?
Well, in a situation such as this, they would be asleep, and there would be no want to go one way or the other without. But I'm assuming that since they are simple creatures, that whichever one was bigger and stronger would probably just be the one who won out in the end.
Which otter are you, Adrian?
And Adrian thinks to themselves, and then sort of scrunches their brow a little bit. I am an otter who is not lost at sea. For regardless of where I am, the guardian would find me.
Can I insight check that? Just that particular moment?
Yes.
Which dice? Wait. Math. 26.
Adrian has a lifetime of servitude and fervor towards Albus, towards the being that Albus is. If it was your plan to begin sowing small seeds of doubt within Adrian as to which otter he is, the seeds have been planted.
I think she'll nod and be like, well, thank you, Adrian. This was very enlightening. I'm sorry to have taken up your time.
It was no trouble at all, Jilfa'en. And he bows towards you, goes over, opens the door, and just holds it open for you.
And she'll, nod politely and head back to the long hall.
Okay, and as you go through this town, there is no one in this town that is not within their homes. It is a ghost town out here. And looking around with your passive perception being as high as it is, you can see all the little crab feets that have left trails through the mud of the town.
All right.
Something came through here. And Albus, down below in the grotto beneath Lethlung, Adrian is here. The rest of the village is here. And they all patiently await your words.
3 years ago, I reawoke here, not knowing anything. Why I looked like Albus. What I was doing here. What purpose this served. And since I've left you, I've figured that out. Since I left you all. I am heading south toward On to take care of another creature like myself. One just as powerful, maybe even more.
There are murmurs among the crowd. Some are like, no one is as powerful as the Guardian. Like, they seem to just be almost disbelieving that something could rival you in strength.
One that is using the power of a god. I know a bit about Tarzan, right?
Yeah, at this point, you definitely know quite a bit about Tharsden.
An evil god, so destructive that even his own brethren locked him away. One that I must destroy. One that left his own servants to rot and die. Whenever I leave, I don't want the same thing to happen to all of you. Back. If not, you've all done great.
And they all sort of look at each other a bit confused. The idea that you wouldn't return for them is almost beyond comprehension at this point.
And yeah, after I'm just gonna like side over Adrian and just be like, also before I leave, there's someone that I wanted you to talk with, my Jilfa'en, the one who came with me.
We have already had a conversation.
Oh, you have?
Yes. She called for me as I was on my way here. It is why I was partially late to the meeting. I apologize profusely.
Yeah, I'm hoping once all of this is over and I can look like myself again, that I can help her. But you're the only person that I know who's actually talked with me back then. So,
Of course.
I'm glad that you were able to talk to her.
All I can hope is that my message and praise found purchase in her troubled mind.
Thank you.
Of course.
And Albus is going to stay here.
Okay. And as night falls over the now emptied town of Lethlung, that is where we are going to call it for tonight's session. So I would like to say thank you to everybody who decided to stop by and join us for this romp house of an adventure in the Ghost of Saltmarsh, Tammeraut's Fate Part 4. Hey, Dingo, where can we find you? What do you do?
You can find me on Twitter at WheresMyDingus. That's where you're going to be able to see all the things that I'm doing lately. This week, tomorrow, I am on Tales from the Grim. Tomorrow morning, if you're in PST. If not, it'll probably be in the afternoon for you. But we're playing Monster of the Week, Samhain. And Saturday, I will be on Off the Table during their 15-hour Otterthon. We're raising money to help keep the channel going and to sort of put funds back into producing things like podcasts and everything that Summer does to keep the channel going. So please stop by, and if you can, donate, because there's a lot of hard work and a lot of good shows on that channel. I'll be playing a game called Don't Rest Your Head, starting at about noon PST, and then I'll also be playing Urban Shadows, A Night in San Guajona, and I believe that starts at 4 PST. And I mean, just stop by the channel anytime on Off the Table, because they're going to be going for, like I said, 15 hours, and it's going to be great. And then on Tuesdays, I'm back on Off the Table playing Alas for the Awful Sea. And that's it.
Hey everybody, it's your boy Reeves_bot. You can find me at Reeves_bot on Twitter or on Twitch at Reeves_bot. Pretty simple, they're all the same. You can find me here on Thursdays playing Ham and Ulman and having, much less time with our daughter than my Ulman's daughter than he would like. And on Sundays, we still haven't quite settled on if we're going to do another long-form game, so we're just enjoying some time doing a little bit of variety. Played some Rock of Ages 2 last week with some Heave-Ho and some Risk of Rain 2. Probably play a similar docket this coming week. That's 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on Sundays.
Hi! I'm our resident cult daddy. You can find me on Twitter, Cyberwolf121, where I shitpost. I stream on twitch.tv/Cyberwolf121, where I play video games badly and talk about lore most Saturdays. Not this Saturday, though, because I'm going to also be playing in Off the Table's Otterthon with Thingo in the Urban Shadows game, which I'm super excited about. I have YouTube with the archives from that Twitch channel, and also a podcast that KyleWithAnN I do called Let's Talk About It. Hopefully I'll get another episode up over the 3-day weekend. Maybe. I don't know. I'm sleepy. There's also D&D Beyond homebrew tutorials, which hopefully I'll be able to do another one soon. For RPG stuff, I'm here. I'm on the DM's Guild. I do Tal'Dorei conversions on Patreon. I'm here on Mondays playing in the homebrew game as Arjan, who was mentioned today. And starting in February, I am going to be on Pro Restarter's channel playing in a Tal'Dorei game. It's going to be great. Come stop by. That's it. That's all I got.
Hello, everyone. I am smooching gods and breaking chains. It's me, KyleWithAnN, on Twitter and Twitch. I will get back to my Twitch this week, where I will stream more video games, either Pokemon or Yoshi's Crafted World. Other than that, you can catch me on some of the same projects that other people have mentioned. Alas for the Awful Sea, over on Off the Table. You can catch me in that thing in February on Pro Restarter's channel with Connor. Let's Talk About It, of course, obviously. And also, another podcast of mine, Cape Lorelei, is another Off the Table production. It's an Urban Shadows actual play podcast. Give it a listen. So, yeah, that's me. And I'm very happy to be back and not sick.
I'm happy you're back as well, because I would have been weird doing that scene by myself earlier today. So, I would like to say, hello, everybody. I am the Indoor Adventurer. If you haven't gathered that by now, I am the showrunner here at twitch.tv/Indoor Adventures. We do shows like this Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday at 5:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. All of the VODs that we have go to youtube.com/Indoor Adventures, as well as podcasts where anywhere other than Podbean that podcasts are available under the same moniker. We also have a Patreon set up for our after show called Nights in the Courtyard, where we answer questions not only from the community, but also from each other. And for the next 6 weeks, I think, I'm going to be DMing 3 games, all 3 of the games that we have on this channel, which is great. We got our Monday night game, our homebrew campaign, that's full of my precious babies that I've done so much to hurt over the last year and a half that we've been playing. On Tuesday nights, we have Waterdeep War of the Spark, as our group has actually gone into the city streets of the city plane Ravnica, and I get to use all, 15 years of Magic the Gathering lore that I know offhand to run a game for my friends. And on Thursdays, hey, you found us. But yeah, other than that, I would like to say thank you to all of these players for putting up with my bullshit once again. Thank you to everybody who decided to stop by and join us for this wonderful game, and we'll see all of you guys next time. All right, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.